Hi everybody and welcome back to IELTS Master. This is video number 36 already, and we're still trying to discover the best way to write the task 1 in the IELTS exam. Now, in all of the previous videos, we were talking about trends and proportions and then processes and then changes and maps and location and everything. Today, we're going to the last part. It's called a concluding statement. When you write when you're describing a graph or when you're describing a chart, sometimes there is a need to conclude it in a way, like the last sentence that you write to summarize it. So how are we going to do this? In terms of contents, today we're going to take a look at the concluding statement first, and then we'll see how concession works. What is concession? Well, I'll explain that when we come to the point. Firstly, concluding statements. Now I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 pie chart, as you can see on the screen right here. This one, this one, this one, and this one. These pie charts show different proportions, and this is one concluding statement. I want you to read this and tell me it helps to conclude which of the pie chart you can see on the screen. Right? Go. Now let's see. To conclude, only a small minority of people felt that language barrier would prevent. So the phrase is to conclude. Remember this. To conclude. And we say only a small minority. Which one? I think it's gonna be the first one. Here, 17. This may refer to the small minority. Okay. Now this depends on the kind of pie chart that you have. Let's try another one. For example, now we say it is evident that opinions are split almost equally between 3 options as regards the benefits of joining cultural ventures. Now remember the phrase, it is evident that. This is a good phrase to conclude it. And split equally among the 3, so I think this is going to be this pie chart, right? 1, 2, and 3 different sections in the pie chart. Next statement. Alright, now it would seem that the vast majority of people think that the development has rated blah blah blah. So remember the phrase, it would seem that. You see, here we are writing a concluding statement, but we don't really have to use the word conclusion. We don't have to say in conclusion, right? We can say it would seem that, or it is evident that, right? And which one is the correct pie chart? I think it is, again, this one. This is the vast majority, right? This is the vast majority of the data. Move on. Now, this statement doesn't have a signal, but it has a comparison word. Well, actually, you can do this, but this is a sample. So this is not really a good one. I think it's best to put a signal here. But anyway, let's focus on the pie chart. About half of the holiday makers visited Italy because they were interested in art and culture, whereas food were considered most important. So which one do you think is the answer? Well, I think it must be this one, right? So half were about arts and culture, and the other is food and climate. That's it. That's the point. Now, that was all about talking about a concluding statement. Let's move on to concession. You must be wondering to yourself, what is concession? Now look at these examples. I have two sentences. 75% of people get towards were age, although only 10 backpackers. 75% were blah blah blah, however, only 10% belong to. So you see, these two sentences mean the same thing. I only use a different conjunction to connect the clauses. Now the point is, here we are making a comparison between two very different ideas. Opposite and opposite, right? When you're making like a comparison between opposite things, now 75% of this, although this one is less, or the vast majority believe something, however, a small minority something. Now that is called concession. So you can think about concession like comparison using contrastive adverbs and conjunctions, right? So although and however, these are basically conjunctions that we can use to connect ideas. I want you to practice for number 1, 2, and 3, which ones are going to be the best match to these. Go. Now let's see, for the first one, I say guided tours were least popular among people. Which one? Well, C, but they were most popular with the oldest group. So you see, there's a comparison in opposite direction. They're both talking about popular, but then least popular with, and then most popular with. Number 2, it's gonna be A. 10 people said they didn't enjoy their holiday, nevertheless, most expressed satisfaction. So they are both talking about satisfaction. Didn't enjoy and enjoy. And number 3 must be B. 14% of people from the other chose guided tour. However, this shows a higher proportion than the age group. So they are comparing between the other category and the 18-30 age group, right? More practice. I want you to rewrite the sentences. Change from however to although, and then change back from however to despite. Here we go. Now let's see what we have. So we have however, they stay fewer days. And then we have to change it to although. Remember, after although, we need a clause. So your answer is going to be something like, although the majority of visitors to Britain, blah blah blah, comma, they stay for. When you use although, it normally comes at the beginning. Or it can come in the middle, but then in that case you got to change the position. Like they stay for blah blah blah, although the majority of visitors. Something like that. Now when we use despite, it is different. After despite, we need a noun phrase. So what's the answer? Despite its good weather, southern France is visited by. Here, we can say although it has good weather, but when we say despite its good weather. That's it. Now, the use of conjunctions is important when you're making concession or comparison with contrastive ideas. In this video, we were talking about concluding statements and then how we can use concession with appropriate conjunctions to make comparison. Thank you very much. I think this is enough. Review the video and then do all of the exercises that follow. I'm gonna see you in the next one.